A winter storm is going to be hitting the central United States next week. How much snow is going to accumulate across Arkansas and Oklahoma? Let's talk about it. I'm 5 News Chief Meteorologist Matt Standridge. We've got cooler air in for the rest of January because the last cold front that came in knocked us from those 60s and 70s that we had day after day back down to 40s and 50s, back down to where we should be for this time of year. But we're watching a series of cold fronts back off towards the north and the west over the Pacific Ocean and the desert Southwest. The first one's going to hit us this weekend. Not a lot of moisture with it, but we'll get a couple rain showers and then maybe a few snowflakes mixing in. Overall, we're going to take a pattern towards colder and colder temperatures as more fronts push on through. Each one comes in with just a little bit colder air. So first one comes in this weekend, starts to set the scene behind it because we've got another cold front in the Gulf of Alaska right now that's going to be able to pull some of that cold air from the Arctic regions and swing it on through Arkansas and Oklahoma to give us some snow chances. So the first one, maybe a little snow here and there, nothing to accumulate. We're not really worried about impacts necessarily because we're probably going to be mostly above freezing the entire time. This one though will drop below freezing and there could be some good wet snow across parts of Arkansas and Oklahoma. So what's next? Winter storm possible next week. We're thinking generally Tuesday and into Wednesday. Now, exactly what time does it start? We're not sure. If most of it hits during the overnight hours, Tuesday night, could get more snow out of it, just because temperatures are colder generally at night. Now, if it's hitting maybe a little bit earlier throughout the day, maybe around sunrise on Tuesday, and most of it's falling during the day of Tuesday, not so much late at night, it may be more rainfall, just because overall that's going to be a little bit warmer for us. But we do think with this system, there'll be a quick surge of some warmth above freezing that will give us some rain at first, but then we'll drop temperatures while the moisture's still over us, and we'll change that rain over to some snow. But the question is, how quickly do we do it? And then also, big key factor is the track. So we're not sure about exactly the timing, but we do think it's going to be in the middle of the week. We know that, but the exact hour, give us a couple days to work on that forecast. Track is also very uncertain, and the track can really dictate who gets the most amount of snow. Right now, generally, when we kind of paint the track, we're thinking that the low pressure starts right over the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. But after it leaves Dallas, it's going to make this left-hand turn, a turn towards the north. But how sharp will that turn be? That's what we're working on. Right now, we think it's probably going to head right over central Arkansas, there towards Little Rock and Conway. You want to be north of the low pressure in order to get that coldest air, thus meaning more snow. On the south side of the low pressure, you keep more of that south wind on the south side. That keeps you warmer. So north side, colder, of course, south side, warmer. And then also, since we live so close to the Gulf of Mexico, this is really key because we can easily get some of the warmer waters of the Gulf to come in, get that heat in, and then kind of mess with our pattern. So the farther south you go, we'll have to really watch that Gulf moisture. But it does look like a lot of Arkansas, western half and northern half of Arkansas, we're going to get some snow. Oklahoma's got a pretty good shot too. I think that rain-snow line is much safer for you guys in Oklahoma who want snow, of course. Now, if you don't want snow, this is not the scenario that you want to see. Now, let's dive in a little bit deeper on the tracks of the storm system. Let's start with option one. So just kind of behind the scenes, peeling things back, we've got 3 major international models that can take a look at things, a week in advance. And so we've got 3 different solutions that we're looking at. This is kind of a rough idea of where each one is going. First off, we've got the Canadian model. This one thinks things are going to be a little bit farther north, which actually means less snow. You want the low pressure to be farther south to get more snow. We'll talk about that in a second. We've got the middle one, which is the American model, the GFS, and the southern model, the European model, goes even farther south. I mean, it barely even clips Arkansas, but that means some good snowfall will be on the way. Here's why. Let's start with option one, which is that Canadian model, one that we've been watching closely. If we can get that track to go over LaFleur County and then kind of skim towards Russellville, we're going to get less snow because the rain's going to be generally on the south side of this arrow that you see, which generally shows you the track. So the farther north this track is, the less snow you're going to get because the warmer air can go farther north. Let's move this track a little bit farther south. So first off, blue, snow, pink, generally a mix of rain and snow, and then green, of course, mainly rain. If we move that track a little bit farther south, and this is probably the track that's going to be the most accurate, we'll give you updates on the track as we get closer. But with this track a little bit farther south, more towards central Arkansas, there's a good chance that most of northwest Arkansas is going to get snow a lot of the time. There could be a brief period of rain, but then we change over to snow, and we're snow for a while, Tuesday evening into Tuesday night. In the River Valley, a little bit more of a mix, but especially from Fort Smith back west into parts of Sequoia County and LaFleur County, more snow. You get a little bit farther east towards Mount Magazine and then south to Waldron, we're probably going to get more of that mix, and then rain farther south as you go towards El Dorado. But if you really want some snow, you want the southern track because it keeps the coldest air all the way farther south and holds it there while the southerly wind and the warmer air from the Gulf is not able to come in very far north at all. If this takes place, it's going to be mostly snow for northwest Arkansas in the River Valley. And you can see the difference with just these three. You know, what is that distance? I'd say 75 to maybe 100 miles as the crow flies. It's not a very far distance when you're thinking of, you know, a global perspective on the weather. But it's crazy how that little difference will make a huge difference on how much snow that you get. But if you want a lot of snow, you want this southern track. If you're not wanting the snow, not today, not ever, you want this northern track. But it's going to be hard to get this track even farther north to just be plain old rain across all of Arkansas. It really is a good system for us to get some snow, especially if you live west of Little Rock or north of Little Rock. So that means Fort Smith, north to Fayetteville, Bentonville, Springdale, and Rogers. There's going to be some snow on the way. Now, how much? Really don't like to go into number forecasting this early. However, we want to give you an update on roughly what we are thinking, and as we get closer, we're going to get better numbers for you. But it depends on the track, and so I'm going to show you what each track brings. Overall, if it's more of that southerly track, which means colder for us, we could get a handful of inches in northwest Arkansas. This is a good accumulating snow for us. If the storm system goes farther north, you get less snow, more rain. I still think we're going to get an inch or so. This does look like an accumulating snow. In the River Valley, it is a bit trickier because you saw those bands of pink and green, and they're going to be visiting us more if the storm system goes farther north. And so overall, I still think we should get about a dusting because at some point we will change over to snow. But if we do and we only have 2 or 3 hours of it, it's not going to be a lot. If we make that transition faster, let's say we've got that more southerly track, we've got a couple inches on the way, but we may also get more rain. Overall, northwest Arkansas is going to get more snow out of the system. No, there's no way to really get around that as far as we think right now. But still on the high end, maybe a couple inches expected for the River Valley. Some of us in the River Valley have not really gotten any snow, especially right along the Arkansas River once you go from Fort Smith east to Clarksville. It's been kind of bare bones. You get away from the river, some of us have had snow. If you remember back in December before Christmas, some of us technically had a white Christmas because we had some leftover snow from a few days before. So we'll watch that. But 7-day forecast shows quick little system this weekend. Not a big snowmaker for us, but there could be some snowflakes mixing in the very light rain showers. It's this storm system that we're really watching. Tuesday into Wednesday. Depending on the timing, how much of it is overnight, how far north or south that system goes will impact how much snow you get. But overall, we do think some snow is going to come our way. In the River Valley, we'll also be next to freezing. So we've got some snow chances overnight as well. But after the snowstorm, you know, sometimes we get a snowstorm and the snow just lasts forever because it's so cold on the backside. I don't think that's going to be as much the case with this one. You see the temperatures probably stabilizing in the low 40s for afternoon highs. So if we get maybe an inch or so, even in the River Valley, we'll try to hold it throughout the whole day on Wednesday. By Thursday, we'll really start to melt it. And I think by the weekend, there probably won't really be any snow left unless there's a plow that kind of accumulated a big bunch of it in the parking lot of a major box retail store or something like that, especially in northwest Arkansas. But it does look like snow's coming back to Arkansas, western Arkansas and eastern Oklahoma. I tell you what, Fayetteville and Fort Smith, late January is our snowiest time of the year. And it looks like that may be the case this year.